What is truly moral? What defines someone as moral or immoral? And who sets the standard? For a long time, society has determined morality simply by looking at one's actions. A person who commits violence is immoral, and one who protects others is moral. It sounds simple. However, this judgment has always assumed that the moral standards are fixed and universal. But they are not. In reality, morality is shaped by environment and temperament. People do not born with bearing the same environment or characteristics. Then, should morality still need to be judged by a simple standard? In Cold Blood, Capri raises this simplified polarization as a central theme. Rather than categorizing the characters as moral or immoral, he reveals the neglected truth that morality exists in contradictions. Today, I will explore how Capri uses rhetorical devices, juxtaposition, and irony to complicate the reader's response to Perry Smith, not to excuse his crimes, but to deeply show the complexity in human morality. In Cold Blood, Capri uses juxtaposition to show Perry's dual nature. Juxtaposition is when you put two separate ideas near each other in order to highlight their differences. Capri juxtaposes Perry's gentleness by intentionally placing gentle imagery with his brutal crimes. Perry is described as physically fragile, small, slightly built like a child who never grew into his body. His voice is soft, and his imagination is rich and artistic. Capri writes in PDF page 35 of In Cold Blood book that his feet could fit into a delicate lady's dancing slippers. This quote from the book emphasizes Perry's visual softness, even looks vulnerable and weak, which contrasts with his violence. Capri strategically shapes Perry's physical vulnerability through imagery so the readers can enter the narrative through empathy before confronting his brutality. Later, Capri shows the scene, which Perry ties up collateral family members. But Capri includes the unexpected details. Perry places a pillow beneath a dying victim's head to make the victim more comfortable. This action makes the readers feel complicated because it mimics the tenderness in the context of brutal murder. By setting the two opposite scenes to coexist, Capri collapses the general polarization of morality. Readers are pushed to think deeply about how we categorize someone who commits violence while acting gently. Capri uses juxtaposition not to defend Perry, but to suggest that morality cannot be simply judged by one's actions because we can see unexpected humanity even in the crime. Capri deepens this idea through irony by showing Perry's violent impulsiveness came from his trauma. In Perry's autobiographical statement from Dr. James, Perry describes being abused in an orphanage run by nuns when he was 6 years old. He writes that the nuns very severely beat him with a large black leather belt and turned the cold water on. Every night was a nightmare. Capri includes details of Perry's traumatic childhood to show the irony of nuns. This irony is rhetorically important because symbolically nuns represent purity, compassion, and God's holiness. However, Capri places them as the background of Perry's abusive childhood, creating an irony that flips the expectations of those who represent morality acting immorally. Through this, he complicates our entire understanding of morality. If a child first encounters evil through those who were meant to be moral, and later the grown kid commits a crime shaped by that experience, can we still obviously blame it on his independent fault, except for the external factors that shaped him? If so, then how meaningful is society's simple polarization between the moral and the immoral? The child who was beaten, mocked, and humiliated grows into the adult who repeats the brutal violence against other innocent people. Through this, Capri highlights that outcomes cannot define morality. Perry's violence did not suddenly emerge. Rather, it was shaped by the figures that society firmly believes are holy. In the end, Capri leads us to determine whether it's moral or immoral, not by the result of the actions, but by considering the conditions under which that morality had formed. Throughout the book, Truman Capote does not provide us with an easy moral answer to the question, who is good or bad? Instead, he suggests that morality is influenced by environment and trauma. On top of that, he reveals that a single aspect cannot judge morality. Human beings do not act purely from good or bad, but they act through the past experiences that have had a significant impact on them.
I think maybe I'd like to apologize. But who to?
My pieces of evidence show that Perry's reality challenges the assumption that morality is easy. His fragility contrasts with his crime, and his trauma contradicts with his self-image. Through the rhetorical devices of juxtaposition and irony, Capote pushes us to step into a discomfort zone. In doing so, the immorality becomes justified, complicated, and deeply human. Hence, the real question is not whether Perry Smith is immoral, but whether morality can exist separately from someone's environment and past trauma. Capote leaves us with one undeniable truth, which is that people's moral standard is not fixed and they are shaped by each other's different environments.